that's me live. I just wanted to come on and just quickly chat about the calm method that I experienced yesterday. So, even from yesterday to today, I'm not going to lie, I've been quite tired. I was very tired last night and this morning, but I'm up and I'm okay now, because it's such an emotional process that you go through. It's so strong, and if you put the work in and you put in the effort, you should be wrecked, because that's what you're doing. You're changing your whole system. So I'll explain a wee bit. Yesterday I went for the calm method, and that is just basically, the only way I can describe this is like an emotional rebirth. So yes, you do rake over and you go through those painful memories. An example of mine, I don't mind sharing, is that my father left when I was 3. So there was a baseline there, and I've always knew what it was, of rejection. So this is what had to be brought up in the process now. So with the process, I'm moving through the process and all the things, all the core wounds and issues that you have, and just going through the intake was amazing enough. But you go through all your core wounds and what's been affecting you, and this was one of mine. In fact, this was my main one. And then you go through the process of changing your physiology, I can't describe exactly what it was, but because that's for Carl to explain. But you're taken through the process, and then the positive, the loving feelings are integrated, forgiveness, etc. So I'm just really, really calm. I'm really, really peaceful, and I'm actually looking forward to putting myself, a strange thing to say, I'm looking forward to putting myself in those situations that would usually cause me stress. That's where time will really tell. That's where it's going to be. Now, I can think about putting myself in those situations, and I feel calm, I feel neutral, I don't feel anything. So the way I would describe this process is like I said, an emotional rebirth. The sacred, for me it's sacred breath. The breath is used, your body is used, mind, body, soul, spirit is integrated, and the amount of energy that needs to be used and done. I'm sure Carl was exhausted. You are taking this person step by step through this. You are guiding them through this process. And it's kind of like, as well, I would describe it as, your phone. Do you know, like a reset? A reset of your phone, or a restart. That's what it feels like on a base level. It's like the tearing down of your old systems, and a new, fresh foundation is laid. And funny, Carl actually made a couple of videos yesterday on his, I'm not sure where they are, on his page or wherever. And it was strange for me to watch and to see, because the first one, I looked quite confident. I'm in, I'm smiling, yeah, I'm excited to get it, and all this. And then the funny thing for me to observe was he showed me the video of just after I went through the process, and I actually I'm not saying I looked sad. I looked just milder. I looked softer. I looked a bit slightly subdued. I wasn't smiling as much, and here to me is why. Or mask. What way would I describe this? The persona that I have, or they're perfectionist, or they keep going and pushing forward, and that is how I live my life. Sort of perfectionist, keep going, all of those things. That's me, okay? But that's only one element of me. That's only one facet, and it was actually reminding me back to the time of where I went to Women's Aid. Okay, so if I've been to Women's Aid, I've obviously been through domestic violence quite badly. I went for about a year and a half, and I really got a good benefit from Women's Aid. I enjoyed the group dynamic of discussion and being there for each other and all of this, right? And one of the things that was discussed one of the weeks was the masks that we wear, so I'll explain it like this. There's a mask. It's not so much a mask, it's all part of you. It's all a different element of you. So one of them would be the face or the mask that I show in work is very different to the face and mask I would show on a night out. It's very different to the face and the mask and the side of me I would show when I'm in the house with my pajamas with no makeup, just chilling, goofy, silly. They're all very different, but they're all still me, okay? So it was making me think of when I was looking at the different masks. The first one in the first video that Carl had sort of shown me of me before was, it's the me, it's up, I can do it, the perfectionist, let's go, professional and all this, hiya, happy, bit bubbly, all this, right? And that is me, that is an element of me. In fact, it's mostly me. And then after, that was the other me, the deeper me, the emotional me, the one that doesn't come out, the vulnerable me, the one that I don't show often. Neither does most people, because vulnerability is not so much highly accepted in society. It's seen, well, it's perceived to be a weakness. Now, I know it's not a weakness, but how I live my life is very much more in the other. Now, what I observed was the other video, I wasn't barely cracking a smile. It was just a wee bit, I was just happy to be. I just wanted to sit there. It sort of reevaluated my concept of what's important in life. Because one of the things for me, okay, so if I'm describing this as sort of an emotional rebirth, then, you know, and Carl takes you through it as your guide, this emotional rebirth that I'm sort of going through, then I know it's a bit of a dramatic analogy or try for me to put it as a similarity, but what I can say is I have tried other modalities, I have tried other healing where you do it yourself. So, you know, there's one that I tried before called the completion process, and you go back to these horrible traumatic memories and you dig them up and you work through them and you reframe them in your own mind, and, you know, you try and make it different. Now, I've tried that, and I tell you what, it didn't work for me. It was hard work. It was traumatic. So the analogy is, you can try and do this work yourself. You can try and research or whatever and do it yourself. And the other thing I would say is, you can also give birth yourself, right? You know, a woman could theoretically give birth to a child by themselves. It's possible. But isn't it better with somebody there? Isn't it better with a midwife? Isn't it better with somebody to guide you, to be there with you? Do you know, Carl was there, you know, holding my hand, patting my back, whatever it need to be, holding me up. To be honest, I nearly fell off my feet a couple of times, because the process is so integrative, it's so powerful, that, isn't it, for me, this is only my opinion, whatever your opinion is, that's yours and that's okay. Isn't it better to have somebody there to guide you through one of the most, you know, can be traumatic, that bring you through that traumatic stuff in your childhood? You can rake it up yourself all you want, but you might just sit there feeling terrible. You know, to have somebody to bring you through that process, for me, that's where it needs to be. So that was a couple of things I'd like to share about it. And even now, Carl did with me an intake, and that's sitting down and chatting for, it took 2 hours. It took 2 hours for me to rake over whatever trauma from childhood, whatever terrible things that have happened in your life, and go through it and go through it and go through it. And you are left in a bit of a vulnerable state before you do the process. Now, what I would say is, you're not left in that state for long. It's a very quick process, the actual doing of it, but you need to get to the bottom of the things right before. So even the education that I was getting there, to me, it's like pearls of wisdom. It's like little nuggets that I'm gonna look at things in a different way. And it all sort of boiled down to, you know, having low value or not valuing yourself, and people pleasing and trying to please everybody else. But for me, the shift sort of occurred is, maybe I'm taking on too much. Maybe I shouldn't be running around like a headless chicken doing everything, and that I need to spend more time with my family. That sort of naturally came up in the intake, what I thought when I was saying, where's my priorities? What am I doing with myself? So that was one thing, but I actually thought this was funny. So I was chatting with Carl and I was saying, I know somebody and they demand a lot of my time, somebody very close to me, and they need help, but they're very insistent and they're phoning me all the time, and it's very me. It's very draining. It's very draining, okay? So I was explaining all this to Carl, and Carl sort of said to me, and I love this because I love animals, and he said, what about if there was a little dog and it had 3 legs, and you had it, you adopted it, and it was running around your house, and the wee dog needed a bit of help getting up on the bed, would you help it? I'm like, yeah, lift it up. If the dog needed help getting up on the sofa or whatever, would you help it? Whatever help that it needed. I'm like, well yeah, I would. And he then said, well, that's how I view this person who you're speaking of, because Carl knows them. They have limitations. They're damaged as well. They're damaged and they have like a handicap, shall we say. So they need help. Now, for that to sort of shift my perspective from looking at this person as, you're annoying me, you're demanding of me, you're irritating me, just get away from me. For me to look at that person from the perspective shift of, you're annoying me, you're irritating me, to, God, you're a wee bit damaged and you just need help. And that's okay. Now, on the balance of that, boundaries are very important. The magic of saying no, looking after yourself, okay? Now, there is a balancing act there, but for me to look at this person now and not just see irritation, for me to look at them and go, you're a dog with 3 legs. Funny as that sounds, that really stuck with me, and that will stick with me. So that's a beautiful thing. And just all those metaphors are used quite a lot, and metaphors stick with me, they work. And because obviously Carl is so versed and experienced in thousands of sessions, over a very lengthy career, that these just sort of roll off the tongue and they stick with me. I get it. So for me, again, the education around it, the emotional use seminar where Carl's going to be speaking and sharing this, it's so important. And obviously I've had that reset, I've had that emotional rebirth, I've had that reset back to base level, which I now feel comfortable pushing myself. Some things to do with business that I'm going to push that I was leaving or a wee bit apprehensive about, I'm going to put myself in those situations now and see how I fare, because it takes away that limitations. That's one thing. So, for me, the main takeaway from this was, I have that little 3-year-old whose father left, who was hurt, abandoned, rejected, and here's how it ties in. And then I have, right, it's like fragmentation. Your personality splits to persevere for your survival. Not to hurt you, to make sure you get through. So my psyche, shall we say, split from that young age to, I very much became very responsible. I know it sounds weird. From I was 3, 4, 5, and in my entire life, I became very responsible. Very high standards. Very go, push, get things done. Don't need my needs met. I'll meet my own needs. Very independent, because it's what was needed to get me through my childhood. So for me to look back at that, for that little 3-year-old now to be acknowledged, to be integrated, so to speak, to not be ignored, to be in the background that you ignore and you don't look after yourself, and it's like the wounded inner child that you don't look at at all, to then bring in that part of me, that split, that fragmentation of my psyche back into line, back into alignment, I just feel peaceful. I feel calm. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel like I have to push myself. I feel like my priorities have changed. I feel like I'm going to not have fear or apprehension in certain things and areas. I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to go for it. So that for me, and I just think for everybody else, people who have all these different facets and all these different faces and masks and trying to put them all together. That's what it's about, and it's rapid change. So I just wanted, there's my dogs going nuts. I just wanted to share those wee bits and come on, and I'm just excited for the future. Thank you all for listening. Bye.